に前へ。
何買うんですか？
お前ら。
Japan, a nation admired for its technological brilliance, cultural depth, and economic power. But beneath its pristine image, hidden beyond the neon-lit streets of Tokyo, lies a world few dare to acknowledge. In the shadows of towering skyscrapers, poverty thrives in silence. Slums exist, not in the form of chaotic shantytowns, but in overcrowded, decaying neighborhoods where survival is a daily battle. Here, forgotten workers, homeless individuals, and struggling addicts carve out an existence on society's fringes, invisible to the outside world. This isn't the Japan you see in glossy travel brochures. This is the Japan the world refuses to talk about. Welcome to Globe Path Travel Documentary. In this journey, we don't just explore the world's famous landmarks. We uncover the hidden realities that few dare to see. Today, we step into Tokyo's largest slum, a side of Japan the world rarely talks about. Here, survival is uncertain, poverty thrives in silence, and communities struggle against homelessness and addiction. This isn't the glossy image of Japan you see in travel guides. This is the raw, unfiltered truth. Subscribe now to Globe Path Travel Documentary and join us as we expose the stories buried beneath the neon-lit streets of Tokyo. Shocking realities of Japan's slums. In 2025 Japan, a nation celebrated for its technological advancements, economic strength, and cultural prestige, hides a harsh reality beneath its polished image. While the world sees Tokyo's dazzling skyline and Osaka's bustling streets, poverty thrives in silence, tucked away in forgotten corners where survival is a daily battle. Unlike the sprawling slums seen in other countries, Japan's hidden poor live in overcrowded, decaying neighborhoods where aging buildings crumble and basic necessities are scarce. Areas like Sanya in Tokyo and Kamagasaki in Osaka have become unofficial slums, housing thousands of elderly men who were once the backbone of Japan's workforce. These men, former laborers who helped build Japan's economic boom, now live in isolation, abandoned by the system. With no pensions, no family support, and no government aid, they are left to fend for themselves in deteriorating conditions. Homelessness in Japan is silent and invisible. Unlike in Western countries, where encampments are visible, Japan's homeless population avoids public attention due to extreme social stigma. Many sleep upright in subway stations, hoping to blend in with commuters. Others wander the streets, collecting discarded food from convenience stores, too ashamed to beg. The government's approach has been to erase poverty from sight, rather than address its root causes. The struggle for survival is relentless. With limited access to shelters and food banks, many homeless individuals dig through dumpsters, searching for scraps before garbage trucks arrive. Restaurants and grocery stores throw away tons of edible food daily, yet strict laws prevent people from accessing it. Drug addiction has taken hold in these communities, particularly methamphetamine abuse, as individuals turn to stimulants to escape their reality. The slums have become hubs for illegal drug trade, where addiction fuels violence and hopelessness. Despite the grim conditions, community efforts and non-profit organizations continue to provide aid, offering food, shelter, and rehabilitation programs. But the problem remains largely ignored by mainstream society, as Japan prioritizes its image over addressing the crisis. This is the hidden side of Japan, where survival is uncertain, and the people living in the shadows remain unseen by the world above. Homelessness in disguise. Homelessness in Japan is not just a crisis, it's a hidden reality concealed by deep-rooted societal stigma and cultural expectations. Unlike in other countries, where homelessness is visibly present in encampments and shelters, Japan's homeless population is largely invisible, forced into isolation by a system that discourages public failure. Many homeless individuals avoid attention at all costs, fearing judgment and rejection. Instead of sleeping in tents or on sidewalks, they sit upright in subway stations, blending in with commuters to avoid being noticed. Some spend nights in 24-hour internet cafes, renting tiny cubicles as their last resort for shelter. Others wander the streets, collecting discarded food from convenience stores, hoping to survive another day. The government's official count of homelessness remains shockingly low, reporting only 2,820 individuals across the country. But this number is misleading. Experts estimate that between 100,000 and 200,000 people live in precarious conditions, including capsule hotels, net cafes, and overcrowded housing units. These individuals may not fit the traditional definition of homelessness, but they lack stability, security, and access to basic necessities. Japan's homeless crisis is not just about poverty, it's about societal rejection. Many of those living in extreme conditions are elderly men, former laborers who lost everything after Japan's economic downturn. With no pensions, no family support, and no government aid, they are left to fend for themselves in deteriorating conditions. Despite the growing crisis, public spaces are designed to keep the homeless out. Benches are built with metal dividers to prevent sleeping. Businesses install spikes on sidewalks to discourage loitering. Public bathrooms require access codes, effectively locking out those who need them. Most homelessness in Japan is not just ignored, it is erased. The world sees Tokyo's bright lights, but few acknowledge the shadows beneath them. The aging crisis. Japan's slums. Japan's aging crisis is one of the most severe in the world, with nearly 1 in 3 citizens aged 65 or older. While the country is known for its technological advancements and economic strength, its elderly population, especially those living in poverty, faces a grim reality of isolation and neglect. In areas like Sanya in Tokyo and Kamagasaki in Osaka, thousands of elderly men live in overcrowded, deteriorating housing, struggling to survive. Many of them were once laborers who helped build Japan's economy, but as industries modernized and automation replaced human workers, they were discarded by the system. With no pensions, no family support, and no government aid, they are left to fend for themselves in conditions that grow worse each year. Japan's super-aged society has created a crisis that the government is struggling to manage. By 2025, all 6.5 million of Japan's baby boomers will be 75 or older, putting immense pressure on the country's medical and social welfare systems. However, many elderly individuals in slum areas do not receive proper health care, as hospitals prioritize younger, working citizens. The cost of living continues to rise, making survival even more difficult for Japan's aging poor. Many elderly men in slums rely on day labor jobs, earning just enough to afford a meal. Others scavenge for food, collecting discarded items from convenience stores or waiting for restaurants to throw away leftovers. Despite the crisis, government funding for elderly care remains insufficient, leaving nonprofit organizations and volunteers to fill the gap. While some community efforts provide food and shelter, the scale of the problem is too large to be solved by charity alone. Japan's slums are not just about poverty. They are about a society that has abandoned its elders, leaving them to struggle in silence. As the country moves forward, these forgotten individuals remain trapped in a cycle of neglect, isolation, and survival. Drug addiction epidemic. Japan's drug addiction crisis has remained largely hidden, but in 2025, the problem has reached alarming levels, particularly in slum areas like Kawasaki and certain districts of Tokyo. While Japan has strict drug laws, methamphetamine abuse has surged, creating a cycle of crime, desperation, and social isolation. Methamphetamine, known as shabu, has been Japan's most commonly abused illegal drug for decades. In 2025, reports indicate that drug-related arrests have increased, with many cases linked to homeless individuals and struggling workers. The streets of Kawasaki have become hubs for illegal drug trade, where addiction fuels violence, debt, and exploitation. For many living in Japan's slums, drug use is not a choice, it is survival. With no stable housing, no medical care, and no social support, addiction becomes an escape from hunger, depression, and the crushing weight of poverty. Many addicts live in abandoned buildings, drainage tunnels, or overcrowded housing units, where drug use spreads rapidly. The government's response has been strict but ineffective. While Japan enforces harsh penalties for drug possession, rehabilitation programs remain underfunded and inaccessible. Many addicts are criminalized rather than treated, leading to repeat arrests and worsening conditions. Despite the crisis, nonprofits and community outreach programs continue to fight for solutions, offering rehabilitation, shelter, and medical aid. However, the scale of the problem is too large to be solved by charity alone. Japan's drug epidemic is not just about addiction, it is about a system that has failed its most vulnerable, leaving them trapped in a cycle of poverty, crime, and hopelessness. The struggle for survival. Survival in Japan's slums is a daily battle against hunger, exhaustion, and isolation. With limited access to shelters and food banks, many homeless individuals are forced to dig through dumpsters, searching for scraps before garbage trucks arrive. The struggle for food is relentless. Every meal is uncertain, and every bite is a fight against starvation. Despite the growing crisis, restaurants and grocery stores throw away tons of edible food daily, yet strict laws prevent people from accessing it. In Japan, businesses are legally required to dispose of expired food, even if it is still safe to eat. This means that perfectly good meals are discarded, while thousands go hungry just outside their doors. For many homeless individuals, scavenging is the only option. Some wait outside convenience stores, hoping to collect discarded bento boxes before they are thrown away. Others rely on community kitchens and nonprofit organizations, but resources are scarce and demand far exceeds supply. Shelters are overcrowded and underfunded, forcing people to sleep in parks, train stations, and abandoned buildings. The lack of medical care means that malnutrition and infections spread rapidly, turning minor illnesses into life-threatening conditions. Japan's homeless crisis is not just about poverty, it is about systemic neglect. While the country thrives economically, thousands remain invisible, struggling to survive in the shadows. The rise of loneliness. Japan's slums are not just a reflection of poverty. They are a symbol of social abandonment, where isolation and despair take hold of those who have been forgotten by society. In 2025, loneliness among Japan's homeless population has reached critical levels, with many suffering from severe depression, untreated mental illnesses, and a growing sense of hopelessness. Unlike in other countries, where homelessness is often visible, Japan's homeless population is largely hidden, avoiding public spaces due to deep-rooted social stigma. Many individuals live in isolation, disconnected from family, friends, and any form of support. The psychological toll is devastating. Suicide rates among the homeless have risen, as many see no way out of their suffering. Japan's aging crisis has worsened the problem. Elderly men, Once laborers who contributed to Japan's economic boom now live alone in deteriorating housing or on the streets, abandoned by the system. With no pensions, no family support, and no government aid, they struggle to survive, often battling severe loneliness and depression. The phenomenon of hikikomori, or extreme social withdrawal, has also contributed to Japan's loneliness epidemic. Many individuals, unable to cope with societal pressures, retreat into isolation, cutting off all contact with the outside world. Some of these individuals eventually end up homeless, unable to reintegrate into society. Despite the crisis, mental health support remains inaccessible. Japan's healthcare system prioritizes working citizens, leaving the homeless with no access to therapy, medication, or rehabilitation programs. Many self-medicate with alcohol or drugs, further worsening their conditions. Japan's slums are not just about poverty. They are about a society that has abandoned its most vulnerable. As the country moves forward, thousands remain trapped in a cycle of loneliness, depression, and survival, unseen by the world above. Despite the harsh realities of Japan's slums, nonprofits, volunteers, and grassroots organizations continue to fight for change, offering food, shelter, and rehabilitation programs to those in need. While the government focuses on maintaining Japan's polished image, these community-driven efforts provide a lifeline to the country's most vulnerable. In Kamagasaki, Osaka's largest slum, local initiatives have transformed abandoned lodging houses into affordable guest houses, providing temporary shelter for those struggling with homelessness. Organizations like Kamagasaki University of Arts offer educational programs, art exhibitions, and workshops, helping residents regain a sense of purpose and dignity. Despite these efforts, the scale of the crisis is overwhelming. Japan's homeless population remains largely invisible, with many avoiding public spaces due to deep-rooted social stigma. Public areas are designed to keep the homeless out, with benches built to prevent sleeping and businesses installing barriers to discourage loitering. While nonprofits and volunteers continue to provide aid, the problem remains ignored by mainstream society. Japan's government has prioritized economic growth and global prestige over addressing the root causes of poverty. Without systemic change, these community efforts, though impactful, are not enough to solve the crisis. Japan is often portrayed as a nation of technological brilliance, economic strength, and cultural prestige, but beneath its polished image lies a hidden reality, one of poverty, homelessness, and social abandonment. While the world marvels at Tokyo's neon-lit streets and Osaka's bustling districts, millions struggle in silence, trapped in a system that refuses to acknowledge their suffering. The country's homeless population remains largely invisible, not because the problem doesn't exist, but because Japan has mastered the art of erasure. Unlike in other nations, where homelessness is visibly present in encampments and shelters, Japan's homeless individuals avoid public attention, fearing judgment and rejection. Many sleep upright in subway stations, blending in with commuters to avoid being noticed. Others wander the streets, collecting discarded food from convenience stores, too ashamed to beg. Areas like Sanya in Tokyo and Kamagasaki in Osaka serve as unofficial slums, housing thousands of elderly men who were once the backbone of Japan's workforce. These men, former laborers who helped build Japan's economic boom, now live in isolation, abandoned by the system. With no pensions, no family support, and no government aid, they are left to fend for themselves in deteriorating conditions. Despite the growing crisis, public spaces are designed to keep the homeless out. Benches are built with metal dividers to prevent sleeping. Businesses install spikes on sidewalks to discourage loitering. Public bathrooms require access codes, effectively locking out those who need them. Japan's government has prioritized economic growth and global prestige over addressing the root causes of poverty. While nonprofit organizations and volunteers continue to provide aid, the scale of the crisis is too large to be solved by charity alone. Without systemic change, Japan's most vulnerable will remain trapped in a cycle of neglect, isolation, and survival. The world sees Tokyo's bright lights, but few acknowledge the shadows beneath them. Thank you for joining us on this journey into Japan's hidden struggles. What you've seen today isn't the Japan shown in travel brochures. This is the Japan the world refuses to talk about. Every statistic, every face, every story represents real lives, real struggles, and a crisis that can no longer be ignored. But awareness is just the beginning. If you believe these stories need to be told, if you want to uncover the truth behind the world's hidden realities, then help us reach more people by subscribing to Globe Path Travel Documentary. By subscribing, you're not just watching, you're becoming part of a mission to expose injustice, challenge perceptions, and create conversations that lead to change. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join us as we continue to bring the unseen into the light, because these voices deserve to be heard. Together, we can make a difference. Let me know if you want this to sound even more intense or emotionally gripping.